consolidate Hezbollah's powers and influence all together across the region. And that is something that would be incredibly difficult to do.
A new accuser going public with allegations against California Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Lana Drews alleges she was raped by Congressman Eric Swalwell after meeting him in West Hollywood in 2018.
I believe he drugged my drink. I only had one glass of wine.
She says she will be filing a police report. Drews is the latest woman to accuse Swalwell of sexual misconduct. Swalwell has denied what he calls serious false allegations made against him. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Swalwell announced he'll resign from Congress. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. Data centers are now at the center of public debate, including places like Texas, which offers substantial tax perks for companies to build those centers.
Even in tiny Sweetwater, Texas, the competition for data centers is intense.
If they don't come here, they're going to the next county over.
Tommy White and his fellow county commissioners have approved a 10-year tax abatement for a company that plans to build a $7 billion data center. But even in business-friendly Texas, some are skeptical.
Bringing in something like that could kind of take away the importance of what this town means.
Hagen Dieter lives near the planned site of the 200-megawatt data center. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
The robo-taxi race is heating up. A major rideshare company now investing in EVs for its fleet.
Uber is expanding its partnership with Lucid. The electric car maker has announced Uber is buying 15,000 Lucid SUVs with the intention of turning them into self-driving taxis. Uber now says it plans to have 35,000 autonomous Lucids in its fleet. The ride-hailing company is also upping its investment in the car company to $500 million. Test rides for employees began in San Francisco earlier this week. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
The Labor Department out with its new report showing U.S. wholesale prices surged last month as the Iran war's impact on energy drove it. The year-over-year gains marking the biggest in more than 3 years. Energy prices surged 8.5% from February. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Tuesday, April 14th. The Jamestown S'Klallam Tribe now asking S'Klallam County Commissioners for a letter of support as it works to transfer the Dungeness Wildlife Refuge and Protection Island Refuge into tribal trust. Tribal leaders say their 2-year co-management agreement with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has already improved how the land is managed. In a work session yesterday, the tribe's Lonnie Greniger told commissioners the tribe can respond more quickly to issues than the federal government can.
We've been doing this for 2 years. It's been very successful, and we want to just keep that momentum going. But even with more flexibility, mentioned the removing of some bureaucracy to allow us to have that flexibility to do more and better. And it will, with that flexibility, it enables that faster response, faster decision making. We can do things in real time rather than having to wait for the federal government to approve our next step, and then we do the next right thing, right? So we can just do the right thing faster.
Renninger also assured that the public would have all the visitor access they currently enjoy if there is this change. Now, one of the major concerns by some people opposed to the transfer is the tribe's plan to expand their oyster farming operation in the nearby waters of the refuge. Commissioner Mike French asked the tribe's Hansi Halls about that.
So the proposed land transfer act is for the federal ownership, which is Dungeness Spit itself. The aquatic tidelands are owned by Washington State Department of Natural Resources. And that is where the tribe's aquatic lease is for a purpose of oyster farm. So that's Washington State DNR tied lands and not subject to the Land Transfer Act at all.
And would there be expansion of any of those farming opportunities into the National Wildlife Refuge?
No, cannot do that.
Toward the end of yesterday's presentation, Greniger reiterated the tribe's pledge to keep access to the refuge open to the public.
So what is the long-term assurance? We are saying that public access is going to be maintained over the long term. And I know, Commissioner Johnson, you're saying, well, what about in 50 years when your council is no longer there? Is that going to change? We would say that we would rely on the federal legislation that tells us that public access has to remain unchanged.
County commissioners have not yet decided on that letter of support. Port Angela City Council member Mark Hodgson has announced he's running for the Washington State House in the 24th Legislative District. The Democrat seeking the seat being vacated by Representative Steve Theringer, who's retiring after more than a decade in office. Hodgson's a Navy veteran who served as a special warfare combat crewman, later spent more than 20 years in corrections and law enforcement. He currently serves on the Port Angela City Council, just taking the seat in January, but has been involved in local efforts addressing homelessness, parks, and dispute resolution. Hodgson says his campaign will focus on public safety, expanding affordable housing, and boosting economic development in the region. He enters a growing field. He is now the 5th candidate in that race. More news after this.
When caring for someone you love, it's important for you to take time to rest. At Dungeness Court Memory Care, our overnight respite care offers peace of mind in a safe, family-style setting. From overnight to several weeks, your loved one receives a dedicated caregiving staff, 24-hour on-site nursing, meals, and calming activities, with all-inclusive rates starting at $325 per night. No long-term commitment, just loving care when you need it most. Call Dungeness Court Memory Care at 360-582-9309 today.
Looking for the next place to call home? Come tour Lavender Meadows in Sequim.
I had been looking at this great community here. Lavender Meadows stands way above the others.
Dennis and his wife found more than just a home.
One of my favorite things we have here is we have a community garden. We can grow tomatoes and just all kinds of greens. Our radishes were fabulous.
Come meet your new neighbors at Lavender Meadows. Our modern, low-maintenance homes give you more time to enjoy your life. Go to lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
Oh no! Your garden's turning into an all-you-can-eat buffet for pests. Deer, slugs, moles, birds, and ants. But not Aunt Ida. She's fine. Lucky for you, Co-op Farm and Garden in Sequim has a full lineup of pest repellents. Keep pests out and the garden in bloom. The Co-op Farm and Garden in Sequim is your lawn and garden headquarters this season, like the past 89 seasons. Shop local. Shop the Co-op in Sequim.
In other news, the U.S. Forest Service plans to close 2 Washington research labs as part of a nationwide restructuring effort. The U.S. Forest Service says the facilities in Seattle and Wenatchee are among 57 labs set to shut down, while its state office in Olympia will stay open. Agency leaders say the changes are intended to improve efficiency, including relocating headquarters to Salt Lake City and centralizing research operations in Colorado. Officials say employees will keep their jobs and research programs will continue, though some scientists and former staff warn the closure could disrupt forestry research, especially here in Washington state, where forest conditions can differ significantly between the east and west sides. Washington State taking emergency action to block a new invasive threat to its waters. State Department of Fish and Wildlife has classified golden mussels as a prohibited Level 1 species, banning their possession, transport, or release without authorization. The move follows an April 9th interception in southern Oregon, where officials found a boat contaminated with the mussels, confirming a pathway for the species to spread north. Golden mussels, first detected in North America in California 2 years ago, can rapidly reproduce, damage ecosystems, and clog water infrastructure. Officials warn the economic impact could exceed $100 million annually if they were to establish in Washington state. Washington's recreational salmon fishing outlook for this season taking shape, with seasons expected to look much like last year, though some changes are coming. State Department of Fish and Wildlife says anglers will see a mix of added opportunities and some particularly shorter summer Chinook seasons in parts of the Puget Sound. State and tribal fishery managers reached the tentative plan on April 12th during the Pacific Fishery Management Council meeting in Portland. Officials say low returns of some key Chinook stocks, including Nooksack, Snohomish, and Stillaguamish runs, continue to limit fishing options there. Still, anglers will gain some opportunities, such as extended summer Chinook fishing in Bellingham Bay, the return of April Chinook fishing near Seaquew, and expanded coho fishing that could bring the highest catch in over 20 years. Washington leaders say the state's housing efforts are falling short despite dozens of existing programs. Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck says the state is moving in the wrong direction, noting that more than 200 housing-related programs across 30 agencies have not kept pace with growing demand. Lawmakers and housing officials are now exploring the creation of a new state housing department. The effort was launched by Bob Ferguson, the governor, through a December executive order with a task force assigned to develop recommendations by the middle of November this year. State Senator Jessica Bateman says the current system is too complex and not producing enough housing, pointing to a lack of supply as the core issue. A 2024 state report found Washington will need about 1.1 million additional homes by the year 2044 to meet population growth. The proposed department would focus on increasing housing supplies, reducing homelessness, and improving coordination between state and local governments. Lawmakers are expected to consider the proposal during this next year's legislative session. This is News Radio KONP.
Losing a loved one is overwhelming. Your mind and your heart shut down. That's where Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory comes in. They took the burden off my family's shoulders and guided us through everything we needed to do. No pushy sales tactics or unanswered questions. They just held our hands and took care of everything we asked. That's why I will always recommend Drennan and Ford for end-of-life decisions. They handle the hurt like no one else can. Call 360-457-1210.
Join us for Healthy Kids Day, happening April 18th from 10 to 1 at all Olympic Peninsula YMCA branches. Our free, family-friendly event is packed with fun. Navigate through obstacle courses, camp activities, wellness challenges, live demos, and more. Plus, register for our brand new summer specialty camps. No sign-up needed. Just show up and bring the whole family. Don't miss out on free goodie bags while supplies last. For more details, visit OlympicPeninsulaYMCA.org. See you there.
Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears. Come out to Olympic Game Farm for some tender love and care. Now it's not impolite to stick out your tongue, considering the critters you'll be among. Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears. The llama and the yak know you want to come back, and the tiger always gets a few stares. Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Rain likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 50. Winds out of the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Rain likely, lows dip down to about 34. A mixture of precipitation likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 47. Cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 51 Thursday under mainly sunny skies. 50 Friday. A peek at the extended shows, 55 Saturday, 56 Sunday, and 55 on Monday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 44.
A wild one with a walk-off in the Bronx. Good morning, I'm Jay Reynolds. Yankees and Angels last night. Wow. New York was up 4. They were up 3. Angels tie it both times. Yankees retake the lead. Angels tie it again, move in front in the 8th on a Mike Trout home run, his second of the game. New York, meanwhile, getting 2 homers from Aaron Judge. That all brings us to the bottom of the 9th with the Yankees down 2.
Fly ball, deep right, going back. Adele on the track at the wall. See ya! He's tied the game. His second home run of the game. A 2-run shot. We are knotted at 10.
Trent Grisham joining the 2-homer club in the bottom of the 9th on the Yes Network. It would ultimately be a 3-run bottom of the 9th. Yankees walk it off on a wild pitch. They win 11-10, snapping a 5-game losing streak. Dodgers shut out the Mets 4-0. That's now 6 straight losses for the Mets. Astros losing streak is 8. Mariners a 4-game sweep, 6-2 yesterday. Kyle Schwarber a pair of homers. Phillies with a 13-7 win over the Cubs. Pittsburgh gets 6 strong innings from Paul Skeens. They beat Washington 16-5. Twins 13-6 rout of the Red Sox. Pete Alonso go-ahead homer in the 7th. Orioles beat Arizona 9-7. WNBA draft. NCAA champion UCLA setting a record with 5 players in the first round, 6 players drafted overall, but it's UConn's AZ Fudd that goes number 1 overall to Dallas.
I'm excited for the change. I'm excited just to learn, like I said, for the opportunity to learn from these incredible players around me. So I expect all of those things, and I look forward to that rookie welcome.
In Dallas, AZ Fudd reunites with former college teammate Paige Beckers, who went number 1 last year. On the ice, Hurricanes clinch the best record in the Eastern Conference despite a shootout loss to the Flyers. Philly clinches a playoff berth and gets the Penguins to open the postseason. Sabres beat Chicago. They clinch the Atlantic. LA Kings are in with a win over the Kraken. Panthers beat the Rangers 3-2. New York goalie Jonathan Quick, 14 saves in his final game. He announced his retirement yesterday.
In local sports and high school golf, the Port Angeles boys dominated Kingston 157-205. Cole Wentz and Sky Gelder led the way with 37s. Max Gagnon shot a 40, Noah Myers at 43, Colby Charles at 44, and Madden Reeves at 61. On the girls' side, the Rough Riders beat Kingston 236-277. Layla Parker had the hot round with a 50, her best of this season. Izzy Spencer and Lainey Rudd each shot 61s. Maya Callis is 64. Amy Biondillo had a 66, and Rainey Charlo had a 68. In baseball, Port Angeles dropped a tough one at North Mason 2-1. Riders host North Kitsap today, while Squim hosts Olympic, both the games at 4:15. In softball, the undefeated Rough Riders rolled past Bremerton 19-1. Allison Leeds picked up the win, going 5 innings with 8 strikeouts. At the plate, Leeds added 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Kennedy Ronglin drove in 5 with a triple, double, and a single. Abby Rudd and Sophia Ritchie each had doubles, combining for 5 RBIs. In softball today, PA hosts North Mason and Squim travels to Kingston, both 4 p.m. starts. In soccer tonight, Port Angeles is at Kingston. Squim visits Bremerton, kickoff set for 7. And in tennis, Port Angeles fell to North Mason in a close one, 4-3. Well, Seattle Mariners capped a 4-game sweep with a 6-2 win over the Houston Astros yesterday, powered by a big day from Josh Naylor.
Swung on, lasered, center field. Has he done it again? Yes, he has! It's in the seats! Josh Naylor, a 2-run blast, and the Mariners lead 5-0. A bolt to center from Josh Naylor. Lightning strikes twice.
That was his second of 2 home runs yesterday, his first 2 home runs of the season that drove in 5 runs, marking the 7th time in his career he has scored at least 5 RBIs in a game. Mariners off to San Diego. We're on the air at 5:30 tonight, brought to you by Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales.
You hear that? That's the sound of Pepsi Zero Sugar, the better tasting, more refreshing Zero Sugar Cola. Listen to that endless pour. Pure refreshment. If it sounds this good, just imagine how it tastes. Oh yeah, so good. Pepsi Zero Sugar. Let your taste decide.
This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, Field Arts Hall Board President Brooke Taylor with an update on their big capital campaign. Plus, we'll talk with Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter. Join us this afternoon on KONP.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. We have gains for stocks today as crude oil futures fall and also as investors hope for more progress in U.S.-Iran talks. Also, a report showing weaker producer price gains than some expected is also helping. United Airlines CEO floating a possible merger with American Airlines, according to sources, but a potential tie-up would pose serious antitrust concerns. Tie-up would also create significant overlap in hubs across the U.S. That could lead to fierce opposition from smaller rivals, also lead to job cuts. And how do you like to get an even bigger deduction for state and local taxes than you could take for 2025? A New Jersey congressman is looking to just about double the cap on state and local tax deductions to $80,800 for married couples. U.S. Representative Josh Gottheimer unveiling the plan dubbed the Tax Cuts Not Penalties for Married Couples Act that would lift the cap from its current level around $40,000. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
In an emergency, every second counts.
At Olympic Medical Center, we're committed to providing high-quality emergency care when you need it most, and important information to prepare you before you do. Visit our website to learn how our triage system works and how you can be better prepared for an ER visit. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/emergency care.
Nor wind, nor rain, nor sleet, nor any other weather event is too much to handle for Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment sales. Not only are we the largest feed supplier on the Olympic Peninsula, we carry mowers and blowers, shovels and tractors in all shapes and sizes, and have the largest selection of trailers around. For big or small jobs, Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment sales has the right tool at the right price. Come on in. We'd love to work with you. Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment sales, 259-110, Highway 101 in Squim.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
Let's head up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center now. That's where Steve's standing by. He's got an eye on the roads for us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, kind of a wet afternoon out there if you're trying to make your way around town, and fairly busy with traffic as well. Downtown Port Angeles, pretty steady traffic making its way through town right now, probably a little bit below the speed limit all the way, so just be aware of that. Same thing in Squim, pretty hectic along Washington Street, Squim Avenue, those areas a little slow going, but traffic is definitely moving. It's a little bit slower than normal. If you're on 101 between Port Angeles and Squim, fairly busy out there, not too bad, mostly leaving the Port Angeles area. It's a little bit crowded through our construction area all the way out to Morris Creek, but once you're through there, things kind of ease up, and you should be right up to the speed limit pretty much all the way to Squim. If you're headed beyond Squim, Hood Canal Bridge, they do have a 1:30 scheduled maintenance opening coming up. The one this morning was only about 15-20 minutes or so, so hopefully this afternoon won't be the full 60 minutes like they're planning. But just be aware of that on your way out. Forks area traffic, 101 headed out. Pretty light right now with traffic. A lot of rain coming down out there, a little bit breezy. So just be careful on your drive out. So everybody take care. Be safe this afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. Another update in about half an hour. Your weather forecast, cloudy and rain on and off through the rest of the day today. We'll hit about 50 for the high. Cloudy tonight, rain at times, and then maybe mixed with a snowflake or two as we head toward morning tomorrow. Lows will be in the 30s. No accumulation expected of snow. Partly sunny in the morning on Wednesday with some scattered rain or snow showers as well. Again, no accumulation expected. High should be in the mid to upper 40s. Right now across the peninsula, Port Townsend's got 49. Out west at Forks, it's 44. Squim's at 48 now. And out at Fairchild Airport here in Port Angeles, it is 45 degrees.
From ABC News Tech Trends, the artificial intelligence world has been abuzz in the last week over Claude Mythos, a new model from Anthropic designed to detect flaws in computer code. Tech writer Clive Thompson says Anthropic isn't releasing it to the general public, but he still trusts the company's claims.
I take it pretty seriously, and here's why. This is what Mythos is doing is squarely in the area of Anthropic's core competence, which is being really good at making AI that analyzes code.
Anthropic says it's trying to prevent Mythos from falling into the wrong hands.
Like a lot of black hat hacking is, China or Russia or other countries that regard the U.S. as their sworn enemy, and the government systems have these vulnerabilities, right?
But even with those concerns, Thompson says Mythos, or something like it, probably won't stay private for long.
Any advance you see in models is actually quickly imitated by other people. No one has a permanent moat. No one stays permanently ahead of everyone else.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Too many of us spend way too much time on our phones or our computers. And as if that weren't bad enough, we've now got AI to contend with as well. AI slop, one researcher told us, is quite fatiguing, both in the actual action of viewing the content and the fact that it's so repetitive, so unoriginal. It's why a lot of people, particularly young people, are increasingly choosing the analog lifestyle to one degree or another. It might look simple. You replace a few apps, like your camera with a real camera, or Spotify with an iPod, or it could be more extreme, where you get to enjoy parts of the day or days of the week away from your devices. Frankly, that sounds like a dream to me. And as one aficionado told us, going analog is not just about cutting myself off the internet, it's cutting the internet off from me. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
DQ presents the Blizzard Double Flip Deal. For a limited time, when you buy one Blizzard treat, you get a second for just 99 cents. That's 2 Blizzards, 2 spoons, 2 flavors, and 2 flips. So don't miss out on the Blizzard Double Flip Deal, available only for a limited time and happening now at DQ. Because the only thing better than a Blizzard treat is a second Blizzard treat for just 99 cents. It's a deal to flip for. The Blizzard Double Flip Deal. Get it in the app. Participation may vary.
Here's a tale of Tina searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Hot foot it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. It's something that happens in America, in your town, every day. But prior to May 1899, it had never happened before. What is it? I'll tell you that story after this important message. If you've been hearing my radio programs now for the last 20 years, you know that I've been telling the true stories of those who have followed God's ways to make America the greatest nation in the world. So what's the latest? Well, we're now doing this nation-saving work full-time, and we need your help by becoming one of our ambassadors, subscribing to All We Have for just $5.95 per month. To get what? Number one, full access to our amazing website that is full of over 100 true stories to teach us with these stories how America is to act and operate. We also have lessons for all ages to teach us what we must do now. And our children, they will be our nation's leaders very soon. I will have live presentations online for you to hear, maybe even to participate. And when must this all get started? Now. Call our offices today at 817-995-6965 or go to our website at www.jerrystewartusa.com and email our office. God bless you. In May of 1899, Jacob Germain in New York City became the first. The first what? The first person arrested in America for speeding. Yeah, he was a New York taxi driver, and he was arrested for traveling 12 miles per hour. Not 12 miles per hour over the speed limit, 12 miles per hour. My point? My, how fast we're moving now. Everything in fast motion. We're moving all right, but are we getting anywhere? Take time today, this day, to slow down, to see those around you, those in need, hurting, looking for a kind smile or a thoughtful word. What we need in America today is a few more stop signs, forcing us to stop, look, and listen. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
At Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapel and Squim Valley Funeral Chapel, Mark Gustafson is precisely the professional you want helping your family during a time of loss.
Every morning when I get out of bed, I have one more opportunity to help a family in need that is grieving, that may be in a cloud, may not know what to do, where to go, who to talk to. And I'm here to help them through that and to be here every day for them.
Saying goodbye to a loved one is never easy. Friendship and experience can be a real comfort.
When a loved one loses someone, it's a journey that they're going through. It's new territory, so to speak, and I'm able to be there to help them. And again, being hometown, I'm there with them all the way through it from start to finish.
Caring professionals when you need them most. Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapel, 452-9701, and Squim Valley Funeral Chapel, 683-5242.
As each season changes, one thing stays the same. Airport Garden Center is always here to help your yard and garden grow. Airport Garden Center opened for business in 1977 as a pet, plant, and feed store by Eldora and Floyd Matthews. The family-run operation continues with Mark and Betsy Matthews passionately managing the business to this day. Their family provides your family quality service, products, and expert advice for a fun, rewarding, pet and child-friendly shopping atmosphere. We love helping you plan next season by offering monthly special savings too. Go to airportgarden.biz for current specials and seasonal classes and events, or just stop on by our spacious indoor-outdoor garden center on Edgewood Drive in Port Angeles to chat with the experts. Airport Garden Center, planting knowledge, growing gardeners since 1977.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. blockade of Iran ports could trigger a return to hostilities over the Strait of Hormuz.
The standoff between the U.S. and Iran has deepened as Washington's declared it had blockaded Iran's ports, and Iran is threatening to strike targets across the region. Pakistan says officials are racing to bring the sides together again for more talks. Though last week's ceasefire is appearing to hold, the showdown over the Strait of Hormuz has risked reigniting hostilities and deepening the region-wide war's economic fallout. The blockade applies to vessels going to and from Iranian ports. The move could restrict the passage of the few ships that Iran considers friendly, which have been permitted to traverse the strait, as Iran has curtailed maritime traffic since the start of the war. I'm Charles Ledesma.
The Iran war has stalled the world's economic momentum this year, likely pushing growth lower compared to last year. That's according to the International Monetary Fund, which has adjusted its prognostication. And here's IMF chief economist Pierre-Olivier Gourinchos.
Despite downside risks, this momentum was expected to carry into 2026, and we were looking to lift up our global growth forecast. Now, war in the Middle East has halted this momentum.
And the IMF downgraded its forecast for global growth to 3.1% this year, compared to the 3.3 it had been predicting. Wholesale prices surged last month as the war drove up energy prices.
The Labor Department reported Tuesday that its producer price index, which measures inflation before it hits consumers, rose 0.5% from February and 4% from March of 2025. The year-over-year gains was the biggest in more than 3 years. Energy prices surged 8.5% from February. Excluding volatile food and energy prices, so-called core producer prices rose a modest 0.1% from February and 3.8% from a year earlier. The gains in wholesale prices were smaller than economists predicted. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
More at townhall.com.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
There's a reprieve for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Block Communications says the Ventutulas Institute for Local Journalism, which publishes the digital-only Baltimore Banner, has agreed to buy the Post-Gazette. Terms of the deal weren't announced. The newspaper had been scheduled to close on May 3rd. The Post-Gazette dates back to 1786. If it had been closed, Pittsburgh would have been the nation's largest community without a city-based newspaper. The Post-Gazette says it will continue to publish print editions on Thursday and Sunday. I'm Mike Hempen.
On Wall Street, investors appear happy despite ongoing concerns about the war. Oil prices are down a bit, and that's driving stocks way up. The Dow is up by 286 points at this hour, and the high-tech NASDAQ up by 384. The S&P 500 so far has clawed out a gain of 67 points. We're about an hour away from the closing bell. Breaking news at townhall.com. On the heels of the successful Artemis II lunar mission, NASA is already planning for its next big space adventure.
Next year, Artemis III's yet-to-be-named crew will practice docking its capsule with a lunar lander in orbit around Earth. Then it will be on to Artemis IV's astronaut moon landing in 2028. NASA threw a Texas-sized welcome home party in Houston Saturday for the 4 Artemis II astronauts who flew around the moon last week. The 3 Americans and 1 Canadian returned to Earth Friday, closing out humanity's first lunar voyage in more than 50 years. Rich Thomason reporting.
Tesla is shifting its focus to robotics. In fact, the head of Tesla's main company in Shanghai says that they plan to pave the way for mass production of humanoid robotics. The comments came by Tesla vice president as the electric vehicle giant pivots to robotics. More at Town Hall.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Tuesday, April 14th. The Jamestown Sklallam Tribe now asking Sklallam County Commissioners for a letter of support as it works to transfer the Dungeness Wildlife Refuge and Protection Island Refuge into tribal trust. Tribal leaders say their 2-year co-management agreement with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has already improved how the land is managed. In a work session yesterday, the tribe's Lonnie Greniger told commissioners the tribe can respond more quickly to issues than the federal government can.
We've been doing this for 2 years. It's been very successful, and we want to just keep that momentum going. But even with more flexibility, mentioned the removing of some bureaucracy to allow us to have that flexibility to do more and better. And it will, with that flexibility, it enables that faster response, faster decision making. We can do things in real time rather than having to wait for the federal government to approve our next step, and then we do the next right thing, right? So we can just do the right thing faster.
Renninger also assured that the public would have all the visitor access they currently enjoy if there is this change. Now, one of the major concerns by some people opposed to the transfer is the tribe's plan to expand their oyster farming operation in the nearby waters of the refuge. Commissioner Mike French asked the tribe's Hansi Halls about that.
So the land transfer, the proposed land transfer act is for the federal ownership, which is Dungeness Bit itself. The aquatic tidelands are owned by Washington State Department of Natural Resources, and that is where the tribe's aquatic lease is for a purpose of oyster farm. So that's Washington State DNR tidelands and not subject to the Land Transfer Act at all.
And would there be expansion of any of those farming opportunities into the National Wildlife Refuge?
No, cannot do that.
Toward the end of yesterday's presentation, Greniger reiterated the tribe's pledge to keep access to the refuge open to the public.
So what is the long-term assurance? We are saying that public access is going to be maintained over the long term. And I know, Commissioner Johnson, you're saying, well, what about in 50 years when your council is no longer there? Is that going to change? We would say that we would rely on the federal legislation that tells us that public access has to remain unchanged.
County commissioners have not yet decided on that letter of support. Port Angela City Council member Mark Hodgson has announced he's running for the Washington State House in the 24th Legislative District. The Democrat seeking the seat being vacated by Representative Steve Theringer, who's retiring after more than a decade in office. Hodgson's a Navy veteran who served as a special warfare combat crewman, later spent more than 20 years in corrections and law enforcement. He currently serves on the Port Angela City Council, just taking the seat in January, but has been involved in local efforts addressing homelessness, parks, and dispute resolution. Hodgson says his campaign will focus on public safety, expanding affordable housing, and boosting economic development in the region. He enters a growing field. He is now the 5th candidate in that race. More news after this.
Total Wellness at Home is here. Save up to $2,800 on a saltwater hot spring spa and enjoy healthy, relaxing soaks. Save up to $12,000 on an endless pool swim spa for a year-round retreat. These massive savings end April 30th.
Hi, I'm John Holm, president of Tri-State Roofing, serving the Puget Sound since 2007. Tri-State Roofing is committed to making every step of the process stress-free. You'll have a dedicated production manager helping you with every aspect, start to finish. Right now, we're offering 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 6 months. Call Tri-State today, and we'll be out tomorrow.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
One sip of tropical lime-flavored Mountain Dew Baja Blast will turn this into this. Your barbecue into a cabana. And your backyard into an island oasis. With a blast of tropical lime flavor, you can bring the beach vibes with you everywhere. Grab some friends and ice-cold Mountain Dew Baja Blast today. Do the dew.
In other news, the U.S. Forest Service plans to close 2 Washington research labs as part of a nationwide restructuring effort. The U.S. Forest Service says the facilities in Seattle and Wenatchee are among 57 labs set to shut down, while its state office in Olympia will stay open. Agency leaders say the changes are intended to improve efficiency, including relocating headquarters to Salt Lake City and centralizing research operations in Colorado. Officials say employees will keep their jobs and research programs will continue, though some scientists and former staff warn the closure could disrupt forestry research, especially here in Washington state, where forest conditions can differ significantly between the east and west sides. Washington State taking emergency action to block a new invasive threat to its waters. State Department of Fish and Wildlife has classified golden mussels as a prohibited Level 1 species, banning their possession, transport, or release without authorization. The move follows an April 9th interception in southern Oregon, where officials found a boat contaminated with the mussels, confirming a pathway for the species to spread north. Golden mussels, first detected in North America in California 2 years ago, can rapidly reproduce, damage ecosystems, and clog water infrastructure. Officials warn the economic impact could exceed $100 million annually if they were to establish in Washington state. Washington's recreational salmon fishing outlook for this season taking shape, with seasons expected to look much like last year, though some changes are coming. State Department of Fish and Wildlife says anglers will see a mix of added opportunities and some particularly shorter summer Chinook seasons in parts of the Puget Sound. State and tribal fishery managers reached the tentative plan on April 12th during the Pacific Fishery Management Council meeting in Portland. Officials say low returns of some key Chinook stocks, including Nooksack, Snohomish, and Stillaguamish runs, continue to limit fishing options there. Still, anglers will gain some opportunities, such as extended summer Chinook fishing in Bellingham Bay, the return of April Chinook fishing near Seacue, and expanded coho fishing that could bring the highest catch in over 20 years. Washington leaders say the state's housing efforts are falling short despite dozens of existing programs. Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck says the state is moving in the wrong direction, noting that more than 200 housing-related programs across 30 agencies have not kept pace with growing demand. Lawmakers and housing officials are now exploring the creation of a new state housing department. The effort was launched by Bob Ferguson, the governor, through a December executive order with a task force assigned to develop recommendations by the middle of November this year. State Senator Jessica Bateman says the current system is too complex and not producing enough housing, pointing to a lack of supply as the core issue. A 2024 state report found Washington will need about 1.1 million additional homes by the year 2044 to meet population growth. The proposed department would focus on increasing housing supplies, reducing homelessness, and improving coordination between state and local governments. Lawmakers are expected to consider the proposal during this next year's legislative session. This is News Radio KONP. This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, Field Arts Hall Board President Brooke Taylor with an update on their big capital campaign. Plus, we'll talk with Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter. Join us this afternoon on KONP.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance.
Come see Price Ford when shopping for your next new or pre-owned vehicle. How about a new Ford F-150 for those tough tasks, a sleek Ford Mustang, or a versatile Escape for your daily commute? Price Ford has a comprehensive selection for every need and budget. Our knowledgeable sales team will help you find the perfect vehicle that fits your lifestyle and budget. Price Ford, next to Walmart in Port Angeles, or priceford.com.
Laurel Lanes in Port Angeles believes that family time should be fun, provide some exercise, and most of all, be affordable. That's why during the summer, Uncle Vern makes sure that all kids that bowl for free. All you have to do to take part in this awesome deal is go to laurellanesbowling.com and click on Kids Bowling on the top left hand of the page. It's free to sign up, and you'll get 2 free games a day for the kids. That's laurellanesbowling.com.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Rain likely this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 50. Winds out of the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected tonight. Rain likely, lows dip down to about 34. A mixture of precipitation likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 47. Cloudy skies expected. Daytime highs approaching 51 Thursday under mainly sunny skies. 50 Friday. A peek at the extended shows, 55 Saturday, 56 Sunday, and 55 on Monday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 44.
12:46. Robert Workman's check on sports next.
The ball was really flying last night around the Major League ballparks. Orioles rallied from down 7-1 to upend the Diamondbacks 9-7. Jeremiah Jackson hit a grand slam and a solo shot. Pete Alonso put Baltimore in front with a 2-run blast. Ketel Marte and Nolan Arenado each went deep twice for Arizona. Mariners completed a 4-game sweep of the Astros 6-2. Josh Naylor homered twice. Houston has lost 8 straight. Pirates hung a 10 spot in the 6th on their way to a 16-5 rout of the Nationals. The big inning started with a bases-loaded triple from Brian Reynolds and wrapped up with Brandon Lau's 3-run blast. Phillies clubbed the Cubs 13-7. Kyle Schwarber with a pair of dingers.
That's always going to be the biggest thing is when you go out there and you do your thing. Obviously, you want to get good results, and we always expect that when we walk up to the plate. So it was just a great overall day.
Jake Berger had a couple of quarter-pounders to lead the Rangers over the A's. Yankees used 5 taters and a walk-off wild pitch to nip the Angels. Aaron Judge, Trent Grisham, and LA's Mike Trout each homered twice. Guardians clobbered the Cardinals despite Jordan Walker's league-leading 8th home run for St. Louis. Twins scored 11 times in the first 2 innings off Garrett Crochet on the way to ripping the Red Sox. Marlins battered the Braves, and the Dodgers shut out the Mets. 8 innings of 2-hit ball from Justin Robleski, backed up by a 3-run homer from Andy Pajes. On the ice, the last playoff spots were wrapped up. The Flyers clipped the Hurricanes 3-2 in a shootout, earning the last playoff berth in the East. It's the first for Philadelphia since 2020. The Sabres clinched the Atlantic Division title with a win over the Blackhawks. The last 2 spots in the West were settled. Kings beat the Kraken for their 5th straight win and make the postseason for a 5th straight year, while the Sharks nipped the Predators. Nashville's loss allowed idle Anaheim to claim a playoff spot for the first time since 2018. That's Tuesday Sports.
If it's time for new asphalt paving for your dirt, gravel, or damaged driveway, now's the time to call Lakeside Industries for a free estimate. They've been serving this community since 1982 with city, county, and highway projects, of course. But did you know that they do residential and commercial grading, paving, and stormwater too? Well, they're scheduling spring and summer jobs right now, and no job is too small. Just call Lakeside Industries 452-7803 or lakesideindustries.com.
It's time for your monthly Market Minute with critical insights from local real estate pro May Graves.
Hi, May Graves here, realtor, broker, and orchestrator. What does that mean? Think of it like conducting a symphony, only instead of musicians, I work with painters, cleaners, movers, stagers, landscapers, and contractors. Selling a home involves more than just listing it online. It's about preparing it thoughtfully, coordinating each detail, and keeping the process on track so nothing falls out of tune. My passion is to make sure every part of your experience, from preparing your home to close of sale, comes together smoothly and in harmony. If you're curious about the process, call me, May Graves, Real Estate Market Pros, hyper-local, data-driven results. 360-461-1922.
Hi, it's Callie from the Heartline. Thanks to all who've come by the shop and to those who've stopped by our home show booth during our anniversary event. There's still time to take advantage of our anniversary savings. Now through May 2nd, get 50% off medium bark. We love helping you beautify your yard and garden, and during our anniversary, helping you save 50% off as well. But hurry, savings are until May 2nd. Stop by the Heartline, top of the truck route, Port Angeles. 452-3157.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Crude oil futures are under serious pressure today.
That's been giving stocks a nice boost as investors eye prospects for more U.S.-Iran talks. Citigroup among the gainers after logging its best quarterly returns in 5 years as its long-running revamp finally takes hold. Shares of United Airlines also higher after sources say CEO Scott Kirby's been talking with officials in Washington about a possible tie-up with American Airlines. Shares of American on the decline today. Wells Fargo shares also under pressure after coming out with disappointing quarterly results. A potential tie-up of the two airlines would pose serious antitrust concerns and would also create significant overlap in hubs across the U.S. That could lead to fierce opposition from smaller rivals. And if you're shopping for a new home, watch out for flimsier cabinets and fewer windows. Wall Street Journal says that's as home builders look for ways to cut costs, including cheaper materials and designs. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
Last check of the noontime traffic next.
Right now at Angelus Furniture, take advantage of huge spring savings on Stressless by Eckernes. Save $200 on each stressless seat. That means 2 seats are $400 off, 3 are $600 off, and so on, up to 5 seats. Check out the beautiful mint low back with arms in Paloma teal blue and black leather, and the Emily angled sofa with wide arms in Paloma chestnut. The spring stressless sale going on now through June 1st at Angelus Furniture.
McCrory Carpet One is part of a 1,000-store co-op. That means you get the competitive pricing of a big box store, but with a superior installation. Their team of professional installers are all employees who live here on the peninsula. Their installation teams take pride in their work because they know they're working for their neighbors and friends, local craftsmen helping local people. Experience the difference. It's why they say, always priced right and always done right. At McCrory Carpet One.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
One last time this hour up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go, and that's where Steve's standing by with an eye on the roads for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, overall, we're doing pretty good out there. If you are making the commute here this afternoon or the lunchtime people making it out there, it is busy, but traffic is moving along fairly well. A little slow in some places. Especially if you're trying to head out of Port Angeles to the east through our construction area all the way out to Morris Creek. Pretty busy through that section. The rest of 101, though, is in pretty good shape. Once you get past Morris Creek area, things moving along pretty smoothly. If you're headed beyond Squim, remember our Hood Canal Bridge scheduled maintenance opening. That is supposed to come up about 1:30 today, so just be aware of that and see how that goes for you. It could be up to an hour long. State ferries, though, for the most part, are running on time. San Juan Island ferries are having issues with boats and other things, so that is going to be a real mess up that way this afternoon. West End traffic, just wet and windy out there, light and moderate traffic, and at the speed limit. So everybody take care. Be safe out there this afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thank you, Steve. Going to be rain on and off through the rest of the day today. A high near 50. Rain into tonight. Could see a couple of snowflakes mixed in overnight. Lows in the 30s tonight. Tomorrow, partly sunny in the morning with slight chances of rain or snow showers mixed. No accumulation expected of snow. And highs tomorrow, mid to upper 40s. Right now across the peninsula, it's 49 in Port Townsend, 45 out west at Forks, 49 in Squim now. And here in Port Angeles out at Fairchild Airport, it is 45 degrees. Well, a baby who captured the world's attention nearly 40 years ago has had a run-in with police. ABC Sherry Preston with the story.
It's hard to describe just how much attention baby Jessica got when she was trapped in a well 22 feet underground back in 1987. Everybody was invested in the 18-month-old getting out alive, which after 60 hours, she did. Now, Jessica McClure Morales, age 40, is in trouble with the Midland County, Texas police. She was arrested over the weekend and charged with assault following a domestic disturbance call. She was released after posting bond.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees for 2026 have been announced. ABC's Andrea Dresdale has more.
Phil Collins has been waiting for this moment for all his life. He's one of the artists who will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this fall. Also part of the Hall of Fame's class of 2026, Oasis, along with heavy metal icons Iron Maiden, rappers Wu-Tang Clan, R&B group Sade, White Wedding singer Billy Idol, British post-punk pioneers Joy Division and New Order, and the late Luther Vandross. The induction ceremony is set for November 14th in L.A. Andrea Dresdale, ABC News.
Kim Commando's Consumer Tech Minute is next. Don't forget, Kim's full show comes your way Saturday mornings, 9 to noon here on KONP.
A computer science degree used to be a golden ticket. Not anymore. I'm Kim Commando for ExpressVPN. When you're online, you're tracked. Keep your activity private and secure. Right now, get 4 extra months at expressvpn.com/Kim. The Atlantic declared the computer science bubble is bursting. AI has already replaced what junior coders used to do, and recent grads carrying debt and a brand new CS degree are discovering the job market isn't waiting for them. But here's what works. Specializations, cybersecurity, data science, and hardware-focused electrical engineering still command serious salaries because AI cannot fully replace them yet. And on the AI side, the degrees getting people hired right now are AI engineering, machine learning, human-computer interaction, AI ethics, and computational linguistics. Employers are desperate for people who just don't use AI, but understand how it's built, where it breaks, and how to keep it honest. And speaking of, I have a brand new weekly AI-free newsletter. Sign up at splashofai.com. You're being watched. Seriously. Every time you go online, your internet provider is tracking your every move. Here in the U.S., they actually sell your browsing history. Until that changes, you need to protect yourself. That's why I use ExpressVPN. It's an easy-to-use app that encrypts your connection and reroutes all your internet traffic through secure servers, so your online activity stays private. With ExpressVPN, your internet provider can't see your browsing history. It hides your IP address. That's the number that identifies you online, so you can't be tracked. And with servers in over 100 countries, you can appear virtually anywhere. It's so easy. One button and you're protected. Plus, ExpressVPN has apps for everything, phones and laptops, desktops and tablets, so you stay private anywhere you connect. Take your online privacy seriously like I do with ExpressVPN. Get up to 4 extra months of ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim.
The North Peninsula's news, the North Peninsula's talk. News Radio KONP, Port Angela Squim, a Radio Pacific station.
Coming up, I'll reveal the lifestyle habits that are so effective at making people more productive. More than half of all millionaires and billionaires swear by them. It's next in today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce! Spruce! Spruce!
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees when used as directed. Spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
I hold in my hand the secret to having the most productive day possible. Here's what the latest research tells us, according to the book Change Your Habits, Change Your Life by Tom Corley. First, wake up at least 3 hours before you start work. In a recent survey of millionaires and billionaires, more than half said they did this every day. One obvious reason is that there are fewer distractions, so it's easier to get a head start on important tasks. Plus, early risers are more likely to exercise in the morning. That's key because a Harvard study found that morning exercisers are far more productive. It also sends more oxygen-rich blood to your brain, so you're firing at all cylinders mentally. Then, make sure you eat a high-protein breakfast. According to the National Institutes of Health, protein takes longer to digest, so it helps us maintain a steady blood sugar level for hours. I'm John Tesh with today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
This afternoon on the Todd Ortloff Show, Field Arts Hall Board President Brooke Taylor with an update on their big capital campaign. Plus, we'll talk with Port Angeles Mayor Kate Dexter. Join us this afternoon on KONP.
Join us at 1 o'clock Monday through Thursday for the Todd Ortloff Show on KONP. Information to keep you engaged in your community with the people and organizations who keep it running. Sponsored by Dan Shappy, Farmers Insurance.
During the work and play sale at Swain's, you'll be able to jump feet first into spring projects in your men's, women's, and kids' bogs, all 20% off. Keep those boots clean with a Northwest boot scrubber for only $16.87. And feel confident you won't strain your back on that yard weeding with Grandpa's Weeder with its long wooden handle. No bending means no straining. It's only $39.87. Swain's work and play sale going on now.
the North Olympic Peninsula's news station. News Radio KONP Port Angeles Squim, AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3. A Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The delicate ceasefire continuing to hold with the U.S. blocking tankers at Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump, though, says another round of talks could happen in the coming days. Meanwhile, a new poll is offering a snapshot of what Americans think about the war. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
60% of Americans disapprove of the conflict compared to just 35% who approve. More than half of those polled in a new Ipsos survey say the decision to attack Iran wasn't worth it. More than half say the war has had a negative impact on their own finances. And almost two-thirds say they think the price of gas will continue to rise. When asked about future stability in the Middle East, 52% of those polled say they think things will be even worse than they were before.
Canada's Prime Minister announcing today a temporary tax holiday on federal fuel tax on gas and diesel. It's aimed at helping ease rising energy prices and costs. It kicks off later this month and goes until September. Talks at the State Department between ambassadors from Israel and Lebanon leading to progress and common ground against Iran-backed Hezbollah.
Emerging from the highest-level direct talks between Israel and Lebanon in more than 3 decades, Jerusalem's ambassador said he and his Lebanese counterpart were on the same side of the equation, united against Hezbollah. But the Iranian-backed militant group was not represented at the talks. Lebanon wants to see an end to the Israeli strikes, but Israel's ambassador told reporters his country sees an opportunity in continuing its push against Hezbollah, saying the group is now as weak as they've ever been.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. A new accuser came forward today with allegations against Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. He resigned from Congress today but denies the claims. Over the weekend, he suspended his campaign for California's governor race. Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez of Texas also leaving Congress. He was also facing an ethics probe after admitting an affair with a former staffer who later died by suicide. You're listening to ABC News.
You know the feeling. It's 2 a.m. You're awake, running the numbers in your head. Payroll's coming. A client hasn't paid. Costs just went up. And you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? That's where LendSeek comes in.
That was me. I had payroll in 3 days and money tied up in receivables. I couldn't wait weeks for a bank. I went to LendSeek, and within minutes, I saw real funding options. They were clear, upfront, no games. By the next day, the money was in my account. Payroll went out. Crisis over.
LendSeek uses AI to match your business with the right funding, up to $5 million in as fast as 24 hours.
With LendSeek, it's not just funding, it's knowing you're covered when things get tight.
If you've been in business for at least 1 year with at least $500,000 annual revenue, apply today. No upfront costs, no prepaid penalties. Because in business, waiting isn't an option. Start ready, stay ready with LendSeek. Apply at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Leo continuing his trip to Africa with the goal of bridging Muslim and Catholic communities. The trip coinciding with President Trump's earlier criticism after the Pope spoke out against the war with Iran. ABC's Melissa Adon is traveling with the Pope.
Vatican media officials telling me they want to move past President Donald Trump's comments towards Pope Leo and focus on the papal trip across Africa. This is coming after global reaction to Donald Trump's harsh criticism and words towards Pope Leo, and now him saying that he's not going to apologize.
Classes are in session after the Los Angeles School District reached a tentative deal to avoid a strike. The last of 3 unions working out terms overnight. ABC's Trevor Ault has more.
400,000 students and their families went to sleep not knowing if they would have school today. The district has been negotiating with 3 separate unions. On Sunday, they reached tentative deals with the teachers union and the administrative union, but the sticking point has been the service employees union. That's workers like custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria workers. That was the final piece, because if one union did not have a deal with the school district, all 3 of them were going to go on strike, and school would have had to have been canceled.
The World Cup games hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico kicks off in June. Fans already upset over sky-high ticket prices to those matches could now get hit with soaring transportation costs. The Athletic is reporting New Jersey Transit is considering charging fans $100 to travel from New York's Penn Station to the stadium in the Meadowlands. But it's not a done deal yet. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
As each season changes, one thing stays the same. Airport Garden Center is always here to help your yard and garden grow. Airport Garden Center opened for business in 1977 as a pet, plant, and feed store by Eldora and Floyd Matthews. The family-run operation continues with Mark and Betsy Matthews passionately managing the business to this day. Their family provides your family quality service, products, and expert advice for a fun, rewarding, pet and child-friendly shopping atmosphere. We love helping you plan next season by offering monthly special savings too. Go to airportgarden.biz for current specials and seasonal classes and events, or just stop on by our spacious indoor-outdoor garden center on Edgewood Drive in Port Angeles to chat with the experts. Airport Garden Center, planting knowledge, growing gardeners since 1977.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results. 457-6600. The Jamestown Slalom Tribe asking Clallam County Commissioners for a letter of support as it works to place the Dungeness National Wildlife Refuge and Protection Island into tribal trust. Tribal leaders say the 2-year co-management agreement with federal officials has already improved response times and land management. They emphasize public access would remain unchanged. Commissioners have not yet taken action. U.S. Forest Service plans to close research labs in Seattle and Wenatchee as part of a nationwide restructuring effort. Officials say jobs and research will continue. Critics, though, warn the move could disrupt forestry and wildfire research in Washington.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. High temperatures reach up to 49 this afternoon under overcast skies with rain likely. Winds out of the southeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight. Lows level off around 34. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Chance for mixed precipitation becoming all rain tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 47. Mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 51 Thursday under mainly clear skies. 50 Friday. Looking further out, 55 Saturday, 56 Sunday, and 55 on Monday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 45 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
Well, welcome once again to the show. Going to spend a good chunk of the first half today talking with my good friend, Brooke Taylor, who is in to give us a bit of we're going to do a little history and a little today stuff about Field Arts and Events Hall. Brooke, it's great to see you.
Thanks for
coming
having
in.
Me, Todd. I'd love to reminisce about this project.
And it's been 10 years. And I should say congratulations to you as well, because you have been leading this charge for 10 years as well.
I have indeed, but boy, there's been a lot of other people that were instrumental
right on
in making this happen.
So I'm going to roll back to 10 years ago.
Sure.
In 2016, we get this announcement, and it kind of came through you because of who you were at the time, that Dorothy Fields had left a bunch of money to build this thing.
Donna Morris.
I'm sorry. Had and then the Dorothy Field part comes later, but that's the next step. But so take us back to that, and then kind of what because nobody really knew what was going to happen with that. I mean, you knew what had to happen, but what it might look like.
Yeah, we started meeting in January of 16. We went public with this project in the 1st of July. In the meantime, we were trying to figure out how we're going to explain it to the public, how we're going to organize it, what we're going to do with this incredible gift, largest philanthropic gift in the history of the county at that time, and this dream that Donna Morris had, which was to have a world-class concert hall in Port Angeles. I mean, what an idea. Fast forward, we immediately, of course, start raising money, because you can build a lot with $9 million, but you can't build a concert hall for $9 million. So obviously we're going to need a lot more. We decided to do it as a nonprofit for a lot of reasons, which turned out to be very good reasons. We got it done in 7 years instead of what it would have been 10 for any government entity or any kind of public entity. People kept jumping on board. I've often referred to it as the Serendipity Project, because so many things just fell out of the sky to make this happen. I'll never forget, I was reminiscing at a dinner we had last week in the McGraw room down there with the original group, the ones that are still left working on it. And it was kind of a tribute to Dorothy Field, who passed away in October. And the day we did our groundbreaking down there, I don't know if you remember that, but Chris Fiddler, who was our executive director, put on this incredible show with the big tent, that the Jamestown people put up for us. We had the big excavator digging, that afternoon, the Lower Elwha elders came to bless the property for us. And they walked out on that bare piece of ground, just nothing there. It was raining. They walked out in the middle of the property and did their blessing. We were respectfully across the street in our office. We could see them, but we couldn't hear them. As they finished the blessing, the rain stopped, the clouds parted, the sun came out, and this gorgeous rainbow filled up the land with the middle of the property out into the middle of the harbor. I've got a picture of that.
And you're going, okay.
This was meant to be.
That's right.
This is a good sign.
We are really going to do this.
We've got the
thing
tribe's
now.
blessing, and we got a rainbow. Somebody's paying attention.
So going back, Brooke, did you intend to be the the president of the board, basically in perpetuity, so far at least?
Well, they haven't been able to get me out of the seat yet because it's been a combination of a incredible challenge and so much fun, with all these serendipitous things going on, each landmark we've reached and passed. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. After 10 years, I'm getting there. And one of my main things was I didn't feel my job was done until the construction debt was paid off.
Exactly. Right. Which is kind of what we're going to talk about here.
We are going to talk about that.
When you went back to when the will was read and this kind of was in there, I remember talking with you and some other folks about, okay, there's all this money, we got it, but we're kind of left with how we figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a big up in the air, wasn't it?
There was very little direction in Donna Morris's will as to how this was going to happen. She said, here's this money. We're going to give it to the Peninsula College Foundation because they're a reliable nonprofit. We know they'll manage the money. It'll be a placeholder until we figure out what we're going to do. You're going to involve certain community organizations in this process, which we've done. We've always called those our will partners. It'd be nice if we could have a fine arts component in this, a visual arts. Other than that, you're on your own. You're on your own. And Steve Moriarty, my former law partner, who was the attorney for Donna Morris and for her estate, was very instrumental in doing the strategic planning to make this come together. And it helped shepherd it all the way through the process. Never been on the board. He's done hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of pro bono legal work for us. I mean, it's been a big lift. It's never taken a dime for it. But he and I have kind of getting it to the finish line together, I think. So.
One of the interesting things I know, back in the day, I remember talking with you, he was like, well, I've never built one of these things before. Nobody here had really done one of these things. So that was part of the challenge.
No, but the thing is, Todd, is you go out and find people that have. LMN Architects in Seattle, 2015 Architectural Firm of the Year in the country for the Tobin Center in San Antonio, which is just a bigger version of Field Hall. Multi-purpose, conference center, concert hall, all the things that go along with it. They've done many of these, and they knew how to do it. So one of the things I've learned is you hire the best people money can buy and then let them do their thing. Pay attention. Listen.
And there were some things that were added on, and I think because of that a little bit. Originally, it was going to be just strictly kind of a performance sort of center, but you've kind of figured out, we should have some conference space. We should have some space for events.
You know as well as I do, Todd, that's something this community has needed for years. We've turned away all sorts of major conferences and events because we didn't have an appropriate space. And I'll never forget, one of the first people I talked to about this was our dear friend John Brewer. John said, Brooke, I'll tell you something. If you want the support of the business community, We all love the idea of having a concert hall, but what we really need in this community is an event and conference space. If you can combine that, then you'll have my backing and everybody in the business community. And he was prescient. That's the way it worked out.
Yeah, and it's been great, and it has been an excellent add-on to the facility as well. I think I can't imagine it without
If you were to ask me what was my biggest surprise, it was how that Sunset Lounge has been utilized. Yeah. Now, part of that is thanks to Steve Rader Ginsburg, who's one of the most creative guys I've ever met. But we're doing things in that space that none of us ever envisioned. I mean, performance things. Right. We're doing Shakespeare, open mic, yoga on Sundays. I mean, all this stuff that nobody ever envisioned. Yeah. So that space is full all the time, and people love being there.
Yeah. Well, it is a beautiful spot.
It is a beautiful spot.
Big windows out on the harbor.
One of the big decisions we had to make, Todd, was not just to have that space, but whether to go up a second story to locate it. Mm-hmm. And it was a $2.5 million lift to go up and do that second floor space. But it was a no-brainer with that view. Yeah. And I mean, I'm so glad we went ahead on that, because it's turned out to be just a blessing.
One other note, and then we'll get into kind of the day's news, is that that piece of property also played into this as well, because at the beginning it wasn't really known where this might be located. But then this is where I got into the fields part of the of this. All of a sudden you get another donation that comes along that kind of opened up the waterfront spot for it.
And I'll tell you what was really strange was I had known about this for 3 or 4 months before we even started meeting, from my conversations with my old friend Steve Moriarty. Mm-hmm. Who was heading this up. And so I was doing these virtual tours of the streets of Port Angeles. I've lived here all my life. I know every commercial corridor there is. I can picture all the buildings. I'm trying to find a piece of property
where we get
in the city limits where you could build a theater. Because I don't know if people realize this, but if you're outside the downtown core, you need off-street parking. And for a 500-seat theater, you'd need a ton of it. Mm-hmm. Downtown, you don't need any off-street parking, and you can build right up to the boundary line. So when Dorothy Field came up with the idea of buying the Oak Street property, which I thought was cursed after all the failed projects,
that's right.
This is never going to work. This is going to be a log yard or nothing. It was perfect. Yeah. It was more serendipity. I mean, and then she was able to negotiate a really good price with the McClaskey family, donate it.
And here we are.
And last week we have the groundbreaking for our new site partner.
Because this turned into a campus. We should point that out as well.
And after we got the building designed, we had half of the square footage remaining that was going to be unused. And our choices were, you could do parking. What a waste of waterfront property. You could make it a park, kind of the same answer. It's got to be a higher and better use for this. And we knew that the Farrell Marine Life Center needed more space. We knew they'd been working with the previous developer whose project failed on that property to use that space, so that was a no-brainer. And they signed up very quickly, and now here they are. We are so excited for them. And I would say, on behalf of our board and staff, get behind that project, community, because it's another
real winner.
It's another winner. Yeah. It's another winner. And then hopefully by the time they get done in 2028, the Lower Elwha will be ready to do their cultural center, which will complete the campus with our 3 buildings.
That'd be something else down there. Who would have thunk this in 2016?
Who'd have thunk it? That bare piece of ugly ground.
I love it. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to talk about today's thing, and that is the last little bit. There's a big capital push that's happening to close that gap, as Brooke Taylor pointed out, to finish this. He wants to get off the board at some point. He cannot even think about it till he closes that gap.
I'm committed.
Brooke Taylor, he's president of the board for the Field Arts and Events Hall board there, and we've been talking a little bit about the history of that facility and how it's gotten there, but now kind of what's left with the fundraising part of it, at least, and we'll talk some more about that right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Hi, I'm John Hull. I'm president of Tri-State Roofing, serving the Puget Sound since 2007. Tri-State Roofing is committed to making every step of the process stress-free. You'll have a dedicated production manager helping you with every aspect, start to finish. Right now, we're offering 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 6 months. Call Tri-State today, and we'll be out tomorrow.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
Hi, it's Callie from the Heartline. Thanks to all who've come by the shop and to those who've stopped by our home show booth during our anniversary event. There's still time to take advantage of our anniversary savings. Now through May 2nd, get 50% off medium bark. We love helping you beautify your yard and garden, and during our anniversary, helping you save 50% off as well. But hurry, savings are until May 2nd. Stop by the Heartline, top of the truck route, Port Angeles. 452-3157.
Looking for affordable home ownership on the peninsula? Mountain View Homes has you covered. Enjoy high-quality craftsmanship at 40% less than traditional homes. You heard me, 40% less. We offer full-service land packages from dirt to turnkey, delivering beautiful, efficient manufactured homes on your chosen site. With 3 convenient locations, including Carlsberg, we're here to serve you. Visit mtviewhomes.com today to learn more. Mountain View Homes, where affordability meets quality.
Step right up, Port Angeles, because this Saturday, the Naval Elks Lodge throws open its doors for the anniversary celebration of the year. We're talking a full-blown Roaring 20s takeover, where every hallway hums with mystery, every corner hides a surprise, and the night practically winks at you. Journey through the lodge and uncover hidden secrets as the party unfolds around you, with jaw-dropping acrobats, underground boxing, and live music from Super Nostalgic and Jimmy Hoffman. And yes, the legendary Elks party snacks are locked, loaded, and included with your ticket. No rumbling stomachs in this speakeasy. But listen closely, tickets are disappearing faster than a magician's rabbit, so don't wait. Join us this Saturday and get lost in the lodge.
Get your tickets now. Text TICKETS to 360-461-0426 or find Events at the Elks on Facebook. That's Events at the Elks on Facebook. And we'll see you when the doors swing open.
Bro, let's get ready to shred. Help buy school supplies for kids and watch your papers be destroyed by LeMay Mobile Shredding. $10 to $20 donation per box of documents suggested. Date, Saturday, April 18th. Time, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Location, Steve Methner State Farm, 611 East Front Street. Same block as Swain's, but heading downtown on Front. Sponsored by Lutheran Community Services, Kiwanis, PA Schools, and Steve Methner State Farm.
All right, we're having a great chat with Brooke Taylor. He is a president of the board at Field Hall, and first of all, I'm having a hard time remembering it's 10 years. It just seems like yesterday we were talking about this thing getting underway, but 10 years along the way. And there's a final capital campaign that's been happening. You might have seen some coverage of it in the news and in the papers and such to kind of close that last gap. So I'm going to just throw it over to you, and maybe you can explain just where it's at, because I think there's probably some confusion from folks who thought, well, you opened it. I didn't realize that it wasn't paid for yet.
Well, because of the huge cost increases that COVID visited on this project and hundreds of others, we had to borrow money to finish it. Right. And First Fed stepped up with a $10 million line of credit and a $2 million gift. They saved the project midstream. I don't know where we were going to get that money otherwise. That allowed us to go back to work, finish it, get it done. But all of a sudden, we got this beautiful building and lots of stuff going on. But when we first started paying on that debt, it was $65,000 a month. Oof. Just interest only on a line of credit. Oh my gosh, that is a ball and chain around you financially if there ever was one. So we realized we really had to go back to the community with a second capital campaign if we were going to have any chance of getting out from under that. And so we started the All-In campaign. The goal was $12 million, $10 million to pay off what was left of the debt, $1 million for what we call the Artistic Risk Fund, which allows our artistic director, Steve Rader Ginsburg, to take some risks, do some things that might work, might not work. In other words, to be adventuresome, even more than he already is. And the other is Field Hall for All, which is our effort to make sure everybody in the community enjoys that facility. So $1 million for each of those programs, $10 million to pay off construction. Of course, donors could designate how they wanted their money to go. And I am very, very pleased to say this afternoon, Todd, that last Tuesday, the construction phase was paid in full. There is no more debt, period.
Excellent.
End of story.
Nice.
And
nice. Okay.
a save the date item on June 13th, we're going to have field day. We're going to block off Oak Street, and we're going to celebrate that fact that the building is paid for. And it's just going to be a fun, fun day for everybody. Big community celebration.
You know, and when you put that into terms, as you just pointed out, about how much outlay per month was happening.
Oh, my gosh.
That then converts into money that can be used for everyday operations.
When I look at what we have done on the operations side, with that debt being paid, and we had help from donors to pay that debt for sure, but I mean 73 stage performances last year. And we were still paying on that debt all year long. But now what we've got left is $357,000 yet to raise to wrap this puppy up and put it to bed.
And that's the extra, those $2 million.
There's $283,000 left to raise for the Artistic Risk Fund, and $73,000 and change for the Field Hall for All.
Excellent.
And just for an example of the Field Hall for All campaign, the Crescent School District just purchased 180 tickets for the next National Geographic feature, the fourth one of this winter series. Now, the only way they're able to do that is with us subsidizing it. So students and parents and faculty can go to this performance in the theater, and that's a $4,000 subsidy. That comes out of this fund. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't hurt our operations at all, and the fact that we're not taking in as much revenue is okay because everybody gets to enjoy this. So that's just a good recent example of how that Field Hall for All fund works. And that's been our tagline from day one. Mm-hmm. And I know our staff really works hard at making sure we had over 100 events in 25 that were either free or they were pay what makes you happy, which is free if you want it to be. And those are well attended. They bring people in.
Yeah. I tell you what you need to do. All you need to do at that facility is get somebody in there once and they're hooked.
Well, you know, and Todd, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've run into this talk in the community about this being some kind of a fancy opera house for wealthy people that go in tuxedos, and, you know, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. And that is so far from the truth, but you're exactly right. You get a person in there once, they look around the concert hall, I don't care who's playing, you'll see a lot of tennis shoes and cowboy boots and Carhartts, and it's that way at every concert. It's Field Hall for All. Yeah. It's everybody's place, and this community owns it, and everybody should take advantage of that.
We are doggone lucky that all of this happened the way it did.
Yes.
Because, we're blessed to have that facility in Port Angeles.
We really are.
It's really just really amazing. And I got a lot of friends who are from out of town, and I tell them about it. And they, the word's gotten out about it, nationally at least. And they go, oh, yeah, we've heard about your place up there. I got to come up there and check that out. And you talked about your friends, coming up from San Francisco.
During the break, I was telling you about that. I mean, he was convinced that was Pink Martini's best performance because of the audience and the venue.
Right.
Those two things.
So how does somebody get involved? I know every little bit helps on one of these things. So what should somebody do if they want to help out?
And we've had, I was just looking at the numbers, we had 184 gifts from 175 donors in this campaign so far. And 92 of those gifts were under $1,000. Some as low as 25. It's for anything you can give will help us get us across that finish line. And those gifts are all tax deductible. That's how you do it. We just had a donation of stock. One of our donors was smart enough to buy 700 shares of NVIDIA at $9 a share. Well,
Well,
if they
that's
were
nice.
to sell that now, $140,000 worth, they'd have a huge capital gain. They donate it to this campaign. It went right into the All-In campaign, and they get a huge tax deduction. We're way better off, and they don't have to pay any tax.
Good point.
So we've had a lot of those. We just had a couple of weeks a $400,000 gift of Apple stock, highly appreciated stock. Same motivation, somebody that loves what we're doing and can see a benefit to them in making a donation. So,
And that is one of the advantages of going this nonprofit route
yes,
that you talked about
yes,
at the top of the show,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. Now, we could have benefited from being some kind of a public entity on the funding side, as far as government funding, but no, this seemed to be the way to go, and it's turning out to be correct. Yeah.
Well, hats off to everything you're doing there.
Thank
The
you.
whole staff is doing great. The whole board has been great. You've got folks that are just hanging on like you and just loving it.
Well, and the thing is that our original capital campaign was all board members and staff, and then, of course, a core of volunteers. The All-In campaign there's a committee that's headed that up, and it's almost all people that are not on our board or on our staff. It was headed up by Christopher Thompson and Teddy. What's Teddy's last name? I'm sorry, Teddy. She's got a house here and a house in Bainbridge, and I can't think of her last name. They co-chaired it.
Okay.
But then we brought in people that were ardent supporters but didn't have any role in the facility at all. And a whole new bunch of people,
That's right.
new energy, new ideas, new contacts in the community, and they've gone out and look what they've done. Almost $12 million in 2 years.
It's absolutely amazing.
I mean, my hat's off to Teddy Reynolds. Sorry, Teddy.
There you go.
And they've done a great job in running this.
All right. Deadline approaching. You want to get this thing wrapped up, obviously, in the next month or so, right?
Yeah. We want to be able to have that field day on June 13th.
And be all done with it.
And be done.
Right.
So we just need a little more help from the community. Just step up one more time. There's a dozen different ways to donate, and we'll get her done and have a party.
All right. Head over to their website at fieldhallevents.org. There's a whole page and some things there that you can take a look at, ways you can donate as well. Brooke, it's always fun to talk with you.
Always
I
fun
just
to
love
be
the
here,
energy.
Todd.
It's a great facility and great leadership.
Well,
too,
and I will have to say that Radio KNP has been a huge help to us from day one, just with the public service announcements, letting us come on and talk on your show. Been a great supporter, and we appreciate it.
All right. Well, Steve muscles his way in here every month or so we let him in.
Well, he's a tough act to follow. I'm a little nervous coming on after Steve.
All right. Brooke, good to see you. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
All right, Brooke Taylor there. He's the president of the board for Field Hall. We're going to take a break. Be back with more in just a moment.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Bathfitter is celebrating over 42,000 installations in Western Washington. That's 42,000 bathrooms made safer, cleaner, and more stylish. And for a limited time, we're doubling our tax season offer, giving up to $1,000 off your dream bath. Custom-fit tub and shower solutions are installed in as little as 1 day, with complete removal of your old setup. Every installation backed by a lifetime warranty. Visit bathfitternw.com to schedule a free consultation. Hurry, this offer won't last.
Welcome to Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood at PA Realty. This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight shines on the Pet Posse, a local group of volunteers who find lost pets and return them to their owners. The Pet Posse has reunited over 6,000 pets since beginning in November of 2014. A nonprofit, every dollar donated goes to reunite pets at no charge. Facebook is invaluable in getting the word out for our lost pets. They provide inpatient care for hospital and veterans pets left alone and have an ambulance to get pets to appointments or emergency assistance. They also work with Clallam County with disaster preparedness for pets. They need more volunteers, so please call them at 360-775-5154. That's 360-775-5154. It's said that service is the rent we pay for our space on Earth. That's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood, a PA Realty.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The delicate ceasefire continuing to hold with the U.S. blocking maritime traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Efforts to hold another round of talks, though, underway could happen by next week. The International Monetary Fund, meantime, warning of a possible global recession.
In its best-case scenario, the IMF's World Economic Outlook expects global growth to fall to 3.1% compared to the 3.4% it had planned to project before the U.S. and Israel launched the war and the Strait of Hormuz was blocked. In its worst-case scenario, the IMF writes disruptions in energy markets could stretch into next year, and the global economy could come close to recession, described as worldwide growth of only 2% and inflation near 6%.
ABC's Sherry Preston. Another woman has come forward with sexual misconduct allegations against Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell. He denies the claims but resigned from Congress today. Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez also retiring today after admitting an affair with a former staffer. This is ABC News.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. High temperatures reach up to 49 this afternoon under overcast skies with rain likely, winds out of the southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for rain tonight, lows level off around 34, mainly cloudy skies expected. Chance for mixed precipitation becoming all rain tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 47, mainly cloudy skies. High temperatures reach up to 51 Thursday under mainly clear skies. 50 Friday. Looking further out, 55 Saturday, 56 Sunday, and 55 on Monday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 45 degrees.
Welcome back to the program. Going to switch gears a bit now. Going to talk with the Mayor of Port Angeles, Kate Dexter. She comes in once a month. We talk about things going on with City Council. And yes, today it's going to be a lot about what we talked about in the news last week.
Correct.
And that is the discussion that happened, the next step after a series of information gathering sessions over the month before about encampments and homelessness and some of the things surrounding that as well. Of course, City Council last week had a big work session about this, talked about things.
We did.
Voted on some things up and down and kind of landed on some direction for staff, might be a good way to put it at this point.
Yes.
So, Kate, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And with that said, let's just, I want you to just take us back and talk about kind of what, from the council level, what the hope was out of all of that, information gathering and then last week's meeting, because perhaps what the council was intending to do may not have been exactly what the public thought was going to happen.
I think that is a fair assessment, at least for some members of the public, and for council. So, going back a few months, we were talking about a committee that existed that was relatively new, some concern about what their purpose was, and so a request came to have a discussion around camping and encampments on primarily public property, but just in general in town. And so as a part of that, we talked about this the last time I was here, I think. We, over the course of a number of meetings, heard from 13 different organizations in the community that provide some level of service that engages with our unhoused community members. And so as an attempt to sort of get a better understanding of the issue. And so we also got a significant amount of public comment from people all across the spectrum, and certainly appreciate people showing up and sharing their thoughts with us, and giving us some idea about sort of trying to get a litmus of where the community lands, and it will come as no surprise, all across the spectrum. And so I think one of the things I said at the beginning of our discussion is that we are not, certainly it wasn't the purpose of that discussion, but also just in general, we as a city council are not going to solve the issue of homelessness. And frankly, given some of the policy changes at the federal level, I think it may get worse while we're all still on council. And so I think that was sort of a piece of the framework that was important to me to make sure people understood. The goal of this was not to solve the housing crisis. It wasn't to figure out and I said that if we could solve the housing crisis, including the unhoused neighbors that we have in our community, well, then our work here would be done. I might feel like, excellent. We obviously would still have more work to do, but that would be pretty amazing, and we would be unique across the country. So the focus really was on camping and encampments. And so there are a lot of things that we heard from community members go along with some of those some of those encampments in particular, which I think are important, and that we want to be sure we're paying attention to. So obviously heard a lot about drug use. That is not happening in all encampments and isn't exclusive. You know, someone, public comment reminded us that lots of people use drugs. A lot of people use them in their homes. And so I think also certainly a component of this whole discussion on a bigger scale is the issue of the fact that we're still in an opioid crisis. But I think I tried to, in our discussion, sort of narrow it down a little bit so that we could actually get somewhere. Because I think the risk is that we end up all over the place and just have to keep talking about it because we can't get to any conclusions. So we did pass 6 motions, and I will pull them up because even I don't remember exactly what we passed. The primary motion was to direct the city manager, I'm just going to read the motion, to prepare a proposal on sanctioned encampments and safe parking, and to report back to the city council for consideration during the second meeting in May. And so to me, that is an important first step, is to evaluate whether there is a way to have safe parking programs, encampments, whether that's dispersed or in one place. That's what I'm hoping staff will explore. There are cities in Washington doing really creative and successful encampments. And so if there's a model that might work here, I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel. So hopefully, certainly it's a quick timeline for turnaround for staff. But that's sort of the primary thing that's set the direction. And then we talked about John Hamilton asked about, he's not the only one, but particularly about being transparent about how we are dealing with encampments. And so one of the other things that we asked for was for staff to bring back some ideas about what it would look like and how we might implement a public-facing standard operating procedure for encampment response that ensures the action taken by the city is predictable and transparent. I don't know what that will look like, but I appreciate that council is wanting for people to have some predictability and understand the process.
So in that, I mean, it sounds to me like you could end up with some, harder, quote unquote, timelines as far as encountering somebody that isn't an encampment, what that might look like, what people could expect if they called in, hey, we think someone's illegally camping here.
Right. I think that's possible. And one of the things that we run up against is, having heard from Serenity House, I think there is occasionally they have a lot of room. Maybe not a lot of room, but we have heard from people, well, they can just go to Serenity House. Well, some people have been trespassed from Serenity House. And also when they came and spoke to us at the council meeting where we had them on our guest list, they had, I think, less than 6 beds available, which certainly is not going to capture everyone who is currently sleeping outside in Port Angeles or in their car. So I think we heard from one of our presenters, the answer is more housing, which we're working on, but probably not fast enough. And we certainly don't have anyone jumping up and down to do more permanent supportive housing. And so I think looking at whether, I don't think we want long-term people having to camp outside. In the short term, could we provide a safe place for people to do that? I hope so. And also in that dashboard around, and maybe further discussion around enforcement, I think like in any segment of our population in our community, whether that's people who are housed or not, sometimes people have trouble following the rules. And so I think there may be people for whom none of these options fit. And so what happens to them? I think I'll take a quick tangent, if I may, and say, certainly we heard from a number of people, as your question alluded to, who felt like we completely missed the mark on what we were supposed to be talking about in that conversation. And I'm not comfortable having any conversation about enforcement until we know whether there is or at least have had the conversation. Now I feel like, okay, we've made some progress to say, let's try to find a way to give people a safe place to be that isn't a creek corridor that's causing environmental issues, that gives them access to a place to store their belongings, that gives them access to restroom facilities, that sort of thing, and then figure out what to do if that doesn't work for some people. I think it's important. I think Councilmember Schwab mentioned this during his comments at the work session, and we don't need to get into the weeds on it, but I think as a general rule, important for people to remember that council doesn't get to tell the police department which laws to enforce and which laws to ignore. And I think some people don't believe that we don't, but we do not, that is not within our authority. The law, we can make municipal code rules, which are local laws. And so that may be something that comes out of this, but we don't get to tell the police, please enforce this, but don't enforce that. There are, I think, some state laws that have made things challenging from an enforcement perspective. And certainly I'd be happy to come in with Chief Smith at some point to talk a little bit more about those things. I don't want to speak for the police department, but I think that is one layer of this. The other piece that I think we are all experiencing frustration about, and I say this just as a statement of fact, not a judgment, that not every person who's arrested is going to end up being charged with a crime or prosecuted. And so we can arrest and arrest and arrest, but it is unlikely that municipal code violations would be charged anyway. And I do think it's important because certainly there is a mixed opinion, as I mentioned, about enforcement on council. If someone comes out of treatment with a criminal history, it's just an extra layer of challenge to get their life back on track. And so I think we want to be mindful about that too. Again, in the context of the reality that we don't get to tell the police department what laws to enforce and what not to enforce. We can impact what laws are in the municipal code. So I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place today, but the comment that comes to my mind next, which is on my list of things to talk about, is that we will also, to the public safety discussion, have a work session on, I want to make sure I give you the right date. It's the April 28th work session. That's the fourth Tuesday of April, on House Bill 2015. And that was a outcome of the last legislative session. Establishes a local law enforcement grant program, which would potentially provide additional funding for public safety. So ideally allow us to hire more officers. And so certainly as we have talked before, I know it has come up with the chief and also in campaign forums before, that we have a really low, one of the lowest in the country, I think we're 50th in the ratio of officers to the general public. And so I think some of the people who are reaching out to us feeling like we fell short will be interested in that discussion. Because the other reality is officers can't be everywhere all at once. And they are, as you know, listen to the scanner quite a bit, and they are very busy, and one call can take at least two of them most of the afternoon, and one of them then filing reports after a lot longer too. So I want to be mindful of continuing to be supportive of our officers, making sure that they're feeling like they can do their work and aren't spinning their wheels.
Relative to enforcement in this encampment thing, one of the things that came up in the discussion last week had to do with who responds. Right, we had some
Correct.
people that would say, "Well, maybe we just have social workers." Well, you already have the rediscovery program is in
Yes.
place right now. But this is just hypothetical, and this would be just you, I guess, in your opinion of this. Does the city need to, maybe that's where money needs to go, is to have more of those? The way it works right now is law enforcement is teamed up with a social worker to go out and try to help some of these folks and get them into treatment or get them into some services. Does the city need more of those teams, quote unquote?
I mean, I think more of those teams would be great. That certainly wasn't the motion that passed.
Right.
The motion that passed was independent of law enforcement. And I know that from previous conversations that there are members within our law enforcement community who have significant concerns about the safety of those folks.
There are members in the social services community
Yes,
that
also
have.
that. So that said, I think we also heard from Deputy Director Hatton. He's Deputy Director of PennCom, Carl Hatton, about some issue with dispatching, something like that. And
Right.
so there was a motion to, at some point in the future, come back and give us some information about assessing whether or not that is something that would work in Port Angeles. That motion did pass. I think there are examples where that has worked well. I also have concerns. And so I did support that motion, saying I don't know that I would ultimately support that concept, but I'm interested in hearing more and appreciate that it didn't have a timeline, because I think we have a whole lot going on right now, and we just created a whole lot more work for staff, and want to make sure that we give people time to adequate. So that, I think, will come back at some point in the future, and that is nebulous at this point because we did not put a date on it. So
how do you address some people though whose concerns when you talk about having safe parking and that type of having people go to a space where you have some people call it a tent city, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
That raises a lot of people's ire. In some cases, a lot of people's kind of like, I'm not sure if that's going to work around here.
yeah, well, so it's interesting. I can appreciate that and certainly have heard that. I mean, that's what we have right now. It's just there's no control around it. There are no rules. There aren't any bathrooms. There's no trash receptacles. So on some level, I don't see it as completely different than what we have now. And I see it as better, safer, cleaner, opportunities for people to keep their belongings safe, and potentially contact with people who can help direct to resources that are needed, that are missed right now. And so, again, we didn't give any direction about where this might be, whether it is everyone in one place, if it is disbursement, the current municipal code, we did not pass an ordinance to amend it. I acknowledge that there may be some proposed amendments when staff comes back. But currently, our code, in a nutshell, is camping is not prohibited without a permit. So in theory, we could permit camping in some places, and maybe that's all we end up doing. So I think council isn't necessarily even right now on the same page about whether it is one place, whether camping and safe parking are in the same place. So I'm really reserving opinion on what's the best option until we hear from staff. We certainly have been to places that are doing unique and interesting things. Vancouver has some encampments that are using like a portable pop-up kind of structure that is less of a structure than a tiny home and significantly more robust than a tent. And so, maybe staff will come back with some creative thing like that. I don't know what it will be.
Do you have time limits there in those? Do you know of?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I think time limits can be challenging because they can be a destabilizer for someone who's finally on a path somewhere and needs just a little longer. We see that happen in a lot of our social safety net programs where you make little enough money to qualify for all the things, and then you get a promotion at your job and you make $5 an hour too much, and you lose all of the services that you had, but the $5 isn't enough to cover any of those things. And so thinking along those lines, I don't know what my inclination is. From an individual perspective, no. And maybe your question was more about, do we allow that to be a permanent encampment?
Or somebody's in there for eons. I mean, basically, for lack of a better term.
Right. In a perfect world, if I had my way, something like this would be only necessary in the short term, because we would have
a place for them to go at some point.
Real housing for people. That is, I think, one thing that council seems united on is, to the extent possible, the concept of housing first is a model that has worked across the country, across the world, and is the ideal solution. We aren't necessarily in a position to be implementing that today.
All right. It's a deep, a lot of technical type of discussion. We'll be talking more about it. I actually have Nathan West on later this week. I'm probably going to ask him a bit on the staff level of where he sees this going, since the direction's been given. But Kate, I appreciate you coming in as always and kind of diving into this.
Yes, it was a little, as you mentioned, I sort of went in a few loops.
Yeah,
but
well, there's a lot to unpack, and I'm sure we'll be doing more of this as we head through the next coming months. All right, we're going to take a break and check in with the news. It's coming up next.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Meet Dennis. He and his wife call Lavender Meadows and Squim home.
They have a lot of modular home communities here, but Lavender Meadows stands way above the others. It's beautiful. There's a lot to do here. We have a beautiful clubhouse. We have bocce ball courts. We have a pickleball court. We have so many friends. It's like one big family here now.
Come tour Lavender Meadows and Squim, or go to lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Ready to create your home wellness retreat? Whether you love a relaxing session in infrared or traditional steam heat, we have the perfect Hilo sauna waiting for you. Up your wellness game by building your own contrast therapy studio, featuring a new sauna and our amazing Vigor Cold Plunge. Buy both and save up to $5,000. Savings end April 30th. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
What's the misconception when considering new cabinets for your home?
I think a lot of people are under the impression that if they go to the box stores, they're going to pay a lot less for their cabinets.
That's Tony from Tim's Cabinets.
Going custom cabinets, you're usually paying about the same or less.
Tim's Custom Cabinets in Squim. 40-plus years experience ensures your cabinet project will be done right.
Let me help make the process comfortable. And at the end, you're going to be extremely happy with what we've done for you.
Tim's Custom Cabinets Squim.
Hi, this is John Hull. I'm president of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company covering the entire Olympic Peninsula area. The difference with Tri-State Roofing is we separate ourselves with the quality of products we offer, customer service, including an A-plus rating with the BBB, solid safety plans, and the best labor guarantees around. Call 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
Hey, when it comes to transforming your home, color's everything. And at Angel's Milk and Hartnagel's, your favorite employee-owned stores, we've got the expertise and the perfect paint to bring your vision to life. At our stores, you'll find dedicated paint specialists ready to help you choose the right paint, stain, or coating to beautify and protect any surface. Whether it's walls, decks, cabinets, or fences, we've got the knowledge to make sure your project shines. Are you not sure which sheen to use? Need precise color matching? Or do you want to prep like a pro so every stroke sticks and lasts? No worries. From expert application tips to the best brushes and rollers, we'll set you up for success without wasting a single drop. And because paint quality matters, we proudly stock Rada and Sherwin-Williams crafted Best Look paint. Painting is one of the easiest DIY projects you can tackle, so let's make yours a masterpiece. Visit lumbertraders.com for more info, and as always, we deeply appreciate you for shopping local and employee-owned.
With so many choices for deliveries, how convenient is it that you've got an option for the perfect cup of Joe, too? Fogtown Coffee in Port Angeles delivers. We offer a no-cost delivery for orders to businesses of $20 or more within city limits. Call 360-504-3509 for delivery or download the Joe Coffee app. Just text coffee to 474747 and order ahead for store pickup. You can even schedule a specific time. Fogtown Coffee on Front Street, your front door coffee delivery headquarters.
Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears. Come out to Olympic Game Farm for some tender love and care. Now it's not impolite to stick out your tongue, considering the critters you'll be among. Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears. The llama and the yak know you want to come back, and the tiger always gets a few stares. Come out to Olympic Game Farm. It's the home of the waving bears.
In conjunction with Squim Valley Chapel and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Home, we're excited to announce the installation of 3 additional niche banks within the Veterans Circle at Mount Angeles Memorial Park in Port Angeles. Each bank has 48 niches, and each niche comfortably houses 1 to 2 sets of remains. We are proud to help serve veterans and their families by adding this additional memorial space to Mount Angeles Memorial Park. Peninsula Cemeteries, because endings matter.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Crime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. The Strait of Hormuz remains blocked by both Iran and the U.S. to tanker traffic. President Trump says the U.S. and Iran could hold talks in the coming week, but sticking points remain over a nuclear deal.
One of the things, of course, that is in question is this issue about uranium enrichment. The president says that Iran mustn't be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. What of the stockpile of 60% enriched uranium that is believed to be buried underneath the sites that the U.S. and Israel bombed last June? The president says either Iran will give it up or, as he has put it, will take it.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy, Israel's ambassador to the U.S. and his Lebanese counterpart met today at the State Department. Israel signaled there was progress as both are against Hezbollah staying in Lebanon. ABC's Marcus Moore is in Beirut.
Many here in Lebanon fear that what Israel ultimately wants to do is eliminate Hezbollah's powers and influence altogether across the region. And that is something that would be incredibly difficult to do.
Another woman has come forward with allegations of sexual misconduct against Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell. He denies the claims but stepped down from Congress. The House clerk read the letters of resignations from both Swalwell and Republican Tony Gonzalez, who admitted to an affair with a former staffer who later died by suicide. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
Both are effective today, and that is key here because there were Republicans and even some Democrats who were musing about possibly calling expulsion votes for Swalwell and potentially even Gonzalez if their resignations were not effective today, if they had decided to stay on and their resignations would be effective some